Hey guys, let's talk about the overhead squat. This is a classic CrossFit movement that can be pretty frustrating if you don't have great mobility, and we're going to try to break it down to practice in a really simple way. We'll go through some basic mobility drills as well as how to practice the overhead squat and reinforce good movement. Let's start with the mobility drills. So our first mobility drill is going to work on our thoracic spine. This is our upper back, right? And the idea here is that we want to try to pull the shoulders back. So when we have the bar overhead, is those couple inches of mobilizing our upper back can help keep the bar in position. This is a big help for any movement overhead, so let's talk about it. You're going to need a foam roller for this. What we're going to do, have a seat on the ground, and the first thing you want to do is find the right position. So this is the bottom of your shoulder blade. If you think about your shoulder blades as being a triangle, the bottom point is where you want the roller to be. So I'm going to pick up my butt, I'm going to roll it forward till I feel it hit the bottom of my shoulder blade. Okay? I keep my butt up in the air, and I'm going to reach back with my hands in kind of that overhead squat position. The narrower you go, the harder this is going to be. Okay? But I want you to get your hands to touch the ground with your elbows locked out. Okay? From there, you're going to drop your butt to the ground and keep your head up off the ground. You should feel a nice stretch through your pecs, through your upper back, and it's fighting against you, right? It wants to lift up. Okay? So really focus on keeping your arms straight, hands touching the ground. Imagine you're holding that barbell, and then you can put your feet out in front of you. And if you see, this looks kind of like an overhead squat. And I'm going to hang out here for about 2 minutes. Okay? As you get better, you can narrow your hand position. This makes it more challenging. So I would lift my butt up, find a narrower position, keep my arms straight, hands touching the ground, drop my butt, and this is a more challenging position to open up my shoulders. Again, hang out for 2 minutes. What a lot of people feel here is they have the sensation they want to drop their head to the ground to release the tension in their neck. Okay, so really focus on what this would look like overhead. We want to keep that neutral spine, open shoulder. Okay, 2-minute drill. Let's go on to our next one. All right, so we've done one mobility drill for the upper back. Now let's talk about that bottom of the squat. We're just going to talk about our hips, our back, ankles, knees. The first one's really simple. It's just sitting in the bottom of the squat. So I put my feet right under my hips, and I'm just going to squat down. Now I'm good at this movement, right? But if you're not very mobile here or really tight, this could get challenging, right? You might kind of get stuck in this position, right? For a variety of reasons, you have some tightness, okay? And our goal is to hang out here for 2 minutes. You want to try to keep the knees tracking over the toes like in any good squat, and you want to get as deep as you can. Avoid the knees falling inward like this, okay, or coming on your toes. So keep the feet flat. If you need to, the reason I'm by this post is you might need a little assistance to get down there, okay? But the goal here, again, is just to accumulate 2 minutes in this really deep position. Over time, getting comfortable here where you can have a vertical torso and a full range of motion, all right, where my butt is all the way down to my ankles, all right? So that's one 2-minute drill. And something to go along with this is your ankle mobility, all right? There's a lot of ways to mobilize your ankles that you'll see. I'm just going to show you a really simple one. You can do 2 minutes per ankle. And this can be a really a big game changer for your squats. Now, all it is this. Put 1 foot forward, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our body weight and just lean forward on our thigh. I'm putting as much pressure on my thigh as I can with my body weight. You can kind of rock back and forth here a little bit, but you're trying to keep your foot flat and close this angle right here. And over the course of 2 minutes, you should feel that position improve. All right, you're going to do 2 minutes on each leg. When you're done with those 3 mobility drills, then we're going to start practicing our overhead squat. All right, so now we're going to get to the practice part. Again, we're going to try to keep this as simple as possible. I have a PVC pipe. You can use a broomstick. Anything with no weight, that's like a stick or a bar. All right, we did make a video previously on how to perform a basic squat using a drill called a wall squat. If you haven't seen that, make sure you check that out. All right, those basics are really going to be important here. We want to talk about being able to keep that vertical torso, keeping the weight in our heels, our knees tracking out over our toes. There's a lot to think about, and that's what we're going to do. This is called neuromuscular training, where we want to focus on just reinforcing good position. And the idea here is we're going to do partial range of motion, and starting at the top. So to find your grip, assuming we're practicing for a snatch grip, I want you to grab the bar so that it is in the crease of your hip. We all have different length torsos and arms, so depending on that for you, grab it wide enough so the bar is right in the crease of your hip. From there, we're going to put the bar up overhead, okay? So when you're overhead, if you have a camera, you can use this throughout this drill to kind of pay attention to where the bar is. You want it to be directly over the center of your body. It's kind of towards the back of your head, all right? And the first thing we want to prioritize is our arm and our shoulder, okay? So throughout this, you never want to let your elbow bend. I want you to focus a lot of your energy on never allowing the elbow to bend, okay? The other is your shoulder. You want to set the shoulder in a strong position so there's no rotation, there's no movement in there, all right? If you look at my wrist, you'll see it's slightly flexed back. All right? So this whole position here, take some time before you even think about squatting and really focus on making this nice, strong, and stable. This is not going to move through the entire range of motion. That's your first job, is to learn that position. All right? Now, once you really focus on that strong position, you're going to put your feet in squat stance, and you're going to try to do a partial range of motion squat and pause in that bottom position. Okay? So here's what you need to think about. As you initiate the squat, I'm keeping that bar locked out overhead. The squat begins with my hips. So all I want you to do is push your hips back so you feel the weight in your heels like a good squat, and nothing bends or moves in your shoulder. And then just stand up. What we want to reinforce here is hip beginning the movement versus a common mistake when the bar is overhead is that people will start with their knees. Okay? And what happens if you start with your knees, at some point, your hips will have to shoot back to get below parallel, and it'll push that bar forward, okay? As well as not recruiting the right muscle. So all we're doing to start, strong overhead position, good squat stance, and initiate by shooting the butt back and keeping that bar in the center of our body, and then stand, all right? As you get comfortable from that position, we squat a little bit deeper, and I want you to really just think 1 inch at a time. So I go a little deeper, and I think, are my arms locked out? Are my knees tracking over my toes? Is the bar over the center of my foot? And then I stand. So you can see that rep took me a few seconds. And over time, you're going to work on trying to get deeper and deeper. And I want you to do 30 repetitions just like that, at that nice slow pace. Doing a checklist in your head. Are my arms locked out? Is the bar over the center of my body? Are my knees tracking over my toes? Just like that, working through. If you're just starting, this can be really challenging to get below parallel, keeping all those things intact. So as you go, you work deeper and deeper and deeper until you can get your hips below parallel in that super deep position, maintaining all of those quality positions. And by doing this nice and slow, incrementally, that's how you're going to develop good movement pattern when you move into working with weight. So do 30 reps just like this. Don't worry how long it takes you to get below parallel. It might take a couple weeks. Then add weight. Start maybe a 15-pound training bar, working into a 45-pound bar, eventually working into weight, and then getting into some snatch and Olympic movement. All right? That's the neuromuscular part of this. Let's just do a quick review. So that's it, guys. We have 3 mobility drills and that practicing perfect range of motion overhead squat drill. All right? Work on this. It'll help you with your more advanced squatting like Olympic lifting and other drills that we do in CrossFit. I hope you enjoy. Ask questions or comment below, and we'll see you next time.